Okay, I believe I found the solution. So here's what I did. So I know these bolts are like 4 millimeter, give or take. So what I did is I cut down a pop bottle, took the plastic off pop bottle because I need a shim, but it can't be too thick, right? So I took a pop bottle and I cut it to roughly the dimensions of the inside of one of these brackets here, and I do say roughly, and then I drilled a 4 millimeter hole in it. So it's an inexpensive washer. That means that it's not metal, so you don't need any special tools. I drilled a hole with my drill press, but you can use an X-Acto knife if you're patient, or a hole punch, or anything like that. And now that won't go through. So I think that is the solution that you should probably use if you're having the same problem. Considering it works really well, it's not very thick, it doesn't cost very much money, because even if you don't have a pop bottle, you can just go to the store and pick one up for $1 or less. Sharp knife, pair of scissors, a little bit of patience. It took me all of 5 minutes to brainstorm this, and it's actually not an original idea. Oops, did I put this on wrong? I think I did. It's not an original idea. I got the idea from another Canadian YouTuber called Matthias Wendell, and he actually uses pop bottles for shims for pulleys, because I mean it's really strong plastic, right? And the fact that these screws just barely don't fit means that you can use it for stuff like that. So there we go. Let me just pop this together. I'm going to screw this down, watching that the T-nut turns, and it does. I have to set this up so that it catches as well. Like this. Did that work? Nope. The T-nut did not spin. Let's try that again. You really have to be dead on with your rods if you want to get it. If you want to get the T-nut to work. Now I do have to line up this rod, but I just figured I would put that in there as proof of concept just to show you. And the screw is kind of like embedded in there, but it actually does work. It won't pull through. It doesn't look like it'll pull through, at least. So I'm going to loosen this again. So that's one. Now I'm going to do the other one, and they want you to center this whole contraption on here, and I don't know if that's going to be easy, but we'll be able to do it anyway. So I've got my measuring tape somewhere here. I'm going to put this on like this. Okay, you may not be able to, I'll just put it like this so you can still see what I'm doing, but you won't be able to see the other end there. And they want both of these on the right hand side. Don't know if there's a reason for that, but either way, just make sure that the little nubs don't go up against the piece of metal. Okay, so I'm going to slide this like this, flush with this edge, and then I need my tape measure, which is around here somewhere, right here. Alright, now I'm going to measure from here to here. That is, here, I'll go like this, 165 that way, and way more that way, so I need to move it this way a bit. Let's try that again. So 170 that way, and hold this down. No, it needs to go way more this way still. Oh, I see I can kind of line it up with my mounts there for the stepper motors. Let's give that a shot. So on this side it'll be 180. On this side it'll be darn near 180. Now the more time you take to adjust this, the better it'll be, I assume. Whoops, I moved it a little bit. So if we go 179 there, hold that down. Oh, a bit more. So 178 on that side. Hold this down. That's very close. I'm going to try putting it there and going with it and just seeing what happens here. T-nut's not cooperating at the bottom. There we go. T-nut is now cooperating. Okay, so that should be, just double check our center here. So from here to here, 178. From here to here, yeah, 178. Pretty close at least. So I'm going to tighten this down. Oh, the T-nut did not spin. I feel like if the T-nut's further out, it also helps. Also, if I line this up so that the rail is square, it also seems to help. Nope, still didn't spin. I feel like this isn't level. There we go, that grabbed it. Okay. Oh, it did not. You know what? What if I just put it in sideways like this? That could explain why it's not working, because it's not actually grabbing it. Something isn't right here. I guess I'll use the flat screwdriver. Just attempt to twist it in there myself. I think that's got it. Okay, so I'll tighten that a little bit. And then I'll go to the other end. See if I can do just about the same. Okay, so to 178, about there. Hold this down. About 178 there. I'm going to try to put in this angle bracket, and then I can just tap it a little bit to do the final lineup. Those T-nuts really don't want to cooperate on the horizontal surface here. There we go, that grabbed it. You can see that they're not quite aligned. Almost seems as though this bar here, this middle bar, is not entirely flush, not entirely long enough. Let's see. Just gonna make sure it grabs it. And I'm gonna tighten this a little bit, and then I'll just nudge it to center. Okay, that grabbed it. Okay, let's do this again. Measuring. But I'll tell you, when these T-nuts grab, they do grab hard. Try to tap it to 178. Let's go a bit more. Doesn't seem to be moving very much. It's like way off. That's close. I think that's about as close as I'm going to get it. Let's see what the final measurement is. 178. Okay, so that side's good. Come over this way. Same deal here. That one's almost dead on there. That's dead on. Tighten these down. This still rolls perfectly. Okay, now let's get ready for the next step. Step 6 is quite interesting because we are going to install the idler pulley for the y-axis here. Again, I'm impressed with how little play. There's like no play in the y-axis whatsoever, which is awesome. But they give you this pre-assembled sort of pulley section, so it's an M5 nut, no, N5 bolt, M5 nut, a large washer, small washer bearing, small washer, large washer, M6 nut, and then your bolt. And they want you to use this piece here, which is just an acrylic piece with a couple of holes in it, and you take apart this. So this was already kind of pre-assembled. So you take that apart, you take out the stack like this, and then you put the bolt through here and then through the whole stack again. Yeah, I got all the washers there. Yeah, I did. And then you secure this with the nut, the M5 nut. It's funny, they use the M6 nut as a spacer in there. So even though this doesn't roll, in fact that doesn't roll, I wonder, is it supposed to be loose? You'd think they'd give you a nylock piece. If this isn't rolling, I don't think that's the way it should have been made. But I'm looking at the diagram on the side, and yeah, that looks accurate. So insert the washers, secure them using M5 nut, which is this one. But I guess it just rolls on top. If you look here, nothing is really set in stone here. We've got a bearing there. They've got a bearing in here, and then another washer. Seems to be the way they want you to install it though. So I'm going to tighten it down, but if this doesn't seem to work, if the belt just doesn't want to rub on this, I guess I'm going to loosen this up and put some Loctite on there so it doesn't actually loosen up. Now the next step is to put these M4 bolts in here, and those are M4 by 8, same as we've been using before, but with these T-nuts again. I'm not sure if this is the first time we use such thick acrylic without a counter bore or a counter, like a drill to bring down the head of the screw. So I'm not sure if this will work, but let's see. At least in these pieces, these screws do fit. This will actually be the tensioner mechanism too, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll show you why in a second here. So I got that in because this will actually fit at the end here onto our y-axis rail, and our belt is going to go around this. I don't know if you can see that. Our belt's going to go around this, so to tension it, it seems like we're going to have to push this back this way to apply tension. So let's hope these T-nuts grab. I'm going to install it in the least tension setting, and so that I can add tension later. But yeah, as soon as I spin this, it comes loose. I'm going to give it a nice tweak. So for step 7, we're going to need our limit switch assembly. We're going to need our stepper motor with the gear, it looks like. So 16 tooth pulley with the grub screws inside, those two there. We're going to need our, don't think we need this. We're going to need M3 by 6 screws for those. So that's one of these here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then M4 by 8, 2 of those. The M4 T-nuts, 2 of those. M2 by 10 screws, these, and the nuts. Don't think I have any tools for those nuts. I'll just use a pair of pliers. And the mount. So I think we should get started by tightening the grub screws on the motor. Now there's a flat, so I'm going to start by tightening the grub screw on the flat. Let's see if I can find the proper Allen key. That's not it. This is too small, I believe. Yep. Where are the Allen keys? Oh, maybe it's this one. Yeah, that looks about right. So on the image it shows that the gear looks like it's all the way down at the bottom. So we're going to put it on like this. I am going to tighten it because if I don't, I'll forget. I'm going to bring it up just a bit so it's not touching the housing. And then if I need to adjust this after, I will. Tighten the second one. Okay, that's on there. Now I don't know if I should put this on the mount and then mount it on after, or vice versa. I'm not sure. This is going to be a little bit harder to do. Like the switch is going to be harder to install because these T-nuts look like they're going to be in the way. So if I'm looking at this properly, so there's the recessed holes. The micro switch needs to go like this, but if you see when the micro switch is lined up, the wires are kind of in the way. Hopefully this is not too much of a big deal. And they're also passing the bolts through this way from this side down, with the nuts being in these tiny little holes. Doesn't seem like the best way to do this, but what do I know, right? Okay, well, I'm going to pause this, try to install this, and then bring you back.